In a world that screams for your attention, that begs you to spend every last drop of your vitality on endless scrolling, fleeting highs, and hollow validation, there stands a silent rebellion so potent it rewires reality itself. It requires no words, no flexing, no performance. It only asks one thing: that you stop giving away the most sacred force coursing through your veins. When a man truly chooses to retain his seed with full spiritual intent, he steps out of the matrix of mediocrity and into a frequency most will never taste. And the moment a woman crosses the edge of that frequency, something ancient inside her stirs. Not in her mind, deeper. In her womb, in her blood, in the memory of her soul. Hold on, before we unlock the real power of semen retention, hit that subscribe button and join our Telegram channel. Link in description. We drop daily wisdom, success tools, and energy secrets only shared there. Don't watch from the sidelines, become part of the movement. She doesn't fall in love with what he says. She falls into resonance with what he has become. A living pillar, a calm flame. A man no longer leaking power, but circulating it, refining it, offering it only to creation, to truth, to the divine. And in the presence of that contained fire, her own wild ocean remembers it was always meant to dance with an unshaken mountain. This is not theory. This is not hype. This is the hidden mechanism behind the most magnetic men who ever walked the earth. The warriors who conquered kingdoms without raising their voice. The sages whose mere presence dissolved centuries of karma. The lovers who awakened goddesses without ever laying a hand on them. They all shared one unspoken discipline. They guarded their seed like dragons guard gold. And in doing so, they became gold. Feel that in your body as you read these words. A tightening in your lower belly. A warmth rising up your spine. A knowing that something inside you is already nodding. You were never meant to spill your power into the void. You were meant to become the void that contains galaxies. Most men live half dead, chasing the next orgasm like it will finally make them whole. They do not realize every release is a prayer to emptiness. Every ejaculation outside of sacred intent is a sacrifice to forces that want humanity weak, distracted, controllable. But when a man awakens and says no more, the game flips. His energy begins to reverse its flow. Instead of leaking downward and outward, it spirals upward and inward. The same force that once served pornography now serves presence. The same fire that burned in lust now burns in vision. And women, whether they understand it consciously or not, feel that reversal like a cosmic sigh of relief. She walks into a room and her nervous system registers safety before her eyes. Register him. Her shoulders drop. Her breath slows. Her hips sway a fraction differently. She may not look at him directly for minutes, even hours, but her body has already begun orbiting his stillness. This is not attraction as society sells it. This is recognition. Soul recognizing soul. Feminine recognizing the masculine. In its purest, undistorted form. He does not need to approach her. He does not need to prove anything. His energy does the approaching. It moves like invisible hands across the room, brushing against her aura, whispering, "You are safe to be everything you are." And in that whisper, masks fall. Armor cracks. The performance ends. For the first time in years, maybe lifetime, she exhales. This is the true meaning of polarity. Not roles, not games. Not dominance or submission in the childish sense. Polarity is physics. Magnetism, when one pole is steady, clear, contained, the opposite pole cannot help but respond. His containment becomes the gravitational field in which her chaos is free to become sacred dance. His silence becomes the canvas on which her wild symphony can finally play without fear of judgment. Watch her transformation unfold like a time-lapse of spring. First, her voice softens. Then her eyes begin to shine with unshed tears of relief. Then her laughter returns, raw, unfiltered, unafraid. Creativity that was buried under survival begins to pour through her fingertips. She starts painting again, writing again, dancing in her kitchen at 2 a.m. Again, she wears dresses that flow instead of armor that hides. She speaks truths that once lived locked in her throat. All because one man chose mastery over mediocrity, and he never asked for any of it. That is why it works. He did not retain to control her, he retained to liberate himself. Her awakening is the byproduct of his devotion to something greater than both of them. That is the paradox most men will never understand. The less you need from her, the more she gives. The less you chase, the more she orbits. The less you spill, the more you overflow. She feels his energy in her bones, like warm honey. It is not loud, it is not aggressive. It is the quiet hum of a man who has remembered he is a conduit between heaven and earth. His root chakra is no longer bleeding. His heart is no longer begging. His third eye is no longer clouded by the residue of 1,000 wasted releases. He has become clean, clear, potent, and potency. True potency is the rarest substance on this planet. Her intuition sharpens to diamond clarity in his field. She begins to sense lies before they are spoken. She begins to feel energy shifts in rooms. She begins to dream in symbols again. The veil thins for her not because she meditates harder, but because his frequency is holding space for the veil to dissolve. He has become a living portal, and she, simply by basking in his radiance, steps through. There is no performance in his gaze. No scanning her body for validation. His eyes hold steady, seeing her soul first, her form second. In that gaze, she feels worshipped without being objectified, desired without being consumed, loved without being possessed. This is the love women spend lifetimes searching for and rarely find, because it cannot be faked. It can only be earned through the fire of discipline. His hands do not fidget. His voice does not waver. His breath is deep and slow, like the tide that knows it will always return. All the scattered fragments of masculine energy that normally dissipate into neediness, anger, porn, distraction, those fragments have been gathered, forged, tempered into one unbroken sword of presence. And a woman feels that sword not as threat, but as protection. Finally, a man who can hold space for her entire storm without getting lost in it. She stops testing him. Most women test unconsciously, pushing, prodding, creating chaos to see if he will abandon ship. But in the presence of true containment, the need to test dissolves. Why create drama when safety is already here? Why play games when truth is finally welcome? She relaxes into her feminine essence like a cat stretching in sunlight. And in that relaxation, her power, her true power, her womb begins to speak again. Not the womb as baby factory. The womb as oracle, as creatrix, as the original temple where life and death dance. Centuries of suppression fall away as she remembers she is a direct line to the Divine Mother. And all it took was one man strong enough to hold the masculine pole without distortion. Sex, if it ever happens, becomes something most couples will never comprehend. It is no longer about friction or release. It is about merging energy fields, circulating life force, worshiping through the body what the soul already knows. Even if they never touch, the electricity between them is enough to light cities. A single glance can feel like orgasm. A shared silence can feel like tantric union. This is sacred sexuality, not as technique, but as byproduct of spiritual maturity. She begins to heal her lineage without trying. Ancestral wounds of betrayal, abandonment, being used. Being unseen, these wounds begin to close in the warmth of his steady energy. She cries for her grandmother who was never honored. She releases rage for her mother who was never protected. She forgives the men who came before because finally, one has shown up in his full power. And in that forgiveness, she becomes free. Her creativity explodes like a dam breaking. Songs pour through her at 3 a.m. Paintings appear as if by possession. Businesses are birthed. Movements are started. Healing modalities are remembered. She becomes a force of nature, not because she is trying to prove anything, but because the energy now has nowhere else to go but creation. He witnesses all of this without attachment, without taking credit, without trying to manage or direct her flow. He simply continues to guard the fire, day after day, choice after choice. And in that consistency, she trusts deeper than she ever thought possible. Their conversations become transmissions. Words are no longer used to fill silence, but to point toward truth. They speak of God at grocery stores. They make love with their eyes in coffee shops. They hold space for each other's darkness without trying to fix it. They become each other's greatest mirror and greatest sanctuary. She no longer fears her depth. She no longer apologizes for her fire. She no longer dims her light to make others comfortable. Because one man chose to become the light within himself first. He does not need her to complete him. That is why she can finally surrender. His wholeness is not a threat to hers. It is the container in which hers can expand infinitely. Together, they become something greater than relationship. They become a living prayer, a walking altar, a portal through which the divine remembers itself in human form. She feels her power, not as weapon, but as gift. Not as something to lord over him, but as something to serve life through. Her heart opens wider than she thought possible. Her body becomes temple instead of battleground. Her voice becomes medicine instead of defense. And all because one man said no to the lie that pleasure is found in release, and yes to the truth that power is found in restraint. This is the revolution no one is talking about. While the world argues over politics and status and money, a quiet army of men is rising, men who have remembered that their seed is sacred. Men who are transmuting lust into vision, distraction into discipline, emptiness into overflow. And in their wake, women are remembering they are goddesses. Lineages are healing. Children are being born into higher frequencies before they even take their first breath. If you are a man reading this and your soul is pounding, listen closely. Your restraint is not punishment, it is priesthood. Every day you retain, you are performing silent alchemy that shifts the entire morphic field of humanity. Every urge you transmute, instead of indulge, is a prayer for the awakening of the feminine. Every night you choose presence over porn is a night you become more God than man. If you are a woman reading this and your body is humming with recognition, know this: your power was never taken. It was waiting for a frequency clear enough, strong enough, contained enough to remind you who you are. You do not need to become anything. You need only remember. The age of the wounded masculine and the armored feminine is ending. The age of the conscious king and the awakened queen is here. And it begins with one choice: retain, refine, radiate. Watch the world bound, because you demanded it, but because it finally recognizes its own reflection in you. If this video gave you real value, tap the thanks button. Your support helps me keep creating deeper content like this. Every thanks is a spark that keeps this mission alive. Your support means more than you know. This is the secret they tried to bury under shame and mockery and distraction. But secrets this powerful cannot stay buried forever. The men who retain are walking proof. The women who bloom in their presence are living testimony. You were never meant to spill your power. You were meant to become it. And when you truly do, the feminine will not just feel you. She will remember herself through you. And in that remembering, the entire world will be reborn.